Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be reviewing Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. I'm going to start off with a spoiler-free section, but I'm going to keep that pretty short since this is the second book in the series. But I will give a very clear warning before I start talking about any spoilers. So overall, most people that read the Stormlight Archive largely consider the first book to be the best one, and not only do they consider it to be like the best in the series, they consider it to be one of the best books in fantasy. The Way of Kings is largely considered just a masterpiece. I agreed. I thought it was so good. I think Words of Radiance was better. I feel like I am in the minority by saying that I think that this sequel did a phenomenal job building off of what was accomplished in Way of Kings and utilized everything that was built, and just there was just so many character moments that I enjoyed so much, because that's the thing with the Stormlight Archive. I don't think that Brandon Sanderson is creating a incredibly original story, and that might not sound good, but I think that he is treading a lot of the grounds that epic fantasy has normally covered. Especially, he's heavily influenced by Wheel of Time, and you can definitely see that. You can obviously there's some Tolkien influences, but I would argue that that's probably coming more so from Wheel of Time, just because Wheel of Time was so influenced by Tolkien. But you're seeing these influences very clearly. But Brandon Sanderson just has such a strong execution of these things that we've seen happen over and over again, that it's some of the best execution of these tropes that you've ever seen. I mean, it's just so well done. Some of the best, most realistic characters. The way that Brandon Sanderson tackles mental illness, I think, is something that I don't even think, even some of my favorite authors, I don't think that they tackle it as expertly as Brandon Sanderson does. It just feels so real. It never defines the character. It's just something that they have to deal with, and I think that that's really good. To my understanding, a lot of people who have struggled with mental illness really appreciate the way that Brandon Sanderson kind of broaches the subject. So overall, Words of Radiance, I thought it was a great grand slam, better than Way of Kings. That's me personally, and I really hope that Oathbringer, the third book in the series, is really good. I'm gonna try and bust that out so that I am ready for when Rhythm of War comes out, which will be the fourth book. So without further ado, spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about everything that happens in the book. So, coming out of Way of Kings, Shallan was not my favorite character. I found her story just to be a little boring. Not that I didn't like her, I just found her story boring. Maybe I should rephrase that. It's not that she wasn't my favorite character, because she's really intelligent, and I think that that's a cool trait for a character to have, especially when, you can see it actually playing out. Not like, I don't like it when they just say, "Oh, this person's really smart," but we never see them being smart. We see Shallan being smart, and I like that. I wasn't crazy about her story. I just found it was just world building is what it felt like. It just felt like largely world building. We got some pretty big moments into Shallan's character, and I really like that. I thought that I still found her, specifically her history, or I'm sorry, specifically like her present story, not to be the most engaging. I was so excited when we found out that she was going to be engaged to Adeline, because that meant that she'd be joining the main crew, which I really liked. I like to see these interactions, but I'll get into that in a second after I'm finished talking about Shallan. But her backstory, with the way that her father treated her, not just the physical torment, but the mental torment, and just that she does, like, because when we knew that she killed her dad, and so this whole time, and that's what I meant about Brandon Sanderson, just like perfect execution of these kind of stories that we've already seen. There have been stories told where someone has an abusive father and they have to, they kill them and everything. This was just such a good execution of that, and we knew it was going to happen. It wasn't a spoiler or anything. We knew it was coming. It was just devastating. I mean, singing that that song to her dad as she strangles him. I mean, it was just traumatic, horrific, and everything all around that. That was great. Great job building off of Shallan. Next, I'll say with Dalinar. I thought that while he's probably he has potential to be my favorite character in the whole series, just because I like what we have built with him so far. I felt like he kind of took a backseat in the story, and I think that was a little bit intentional. His biggest moment for me was when he confronted Amaram, and kind of caught him in his lie. That was very satisfying, just to see, just because of how Amaram showing up was a jaw-dropping moment for me. I was so not expecting to see him, and so when he showed up, I was floored. I was so excited, and that's when I was like, oh, this book, in my opinion, has reached a new level from Way of Kings. Because overall, why I like this book more than Way of Kings, everyone is separate in the Way of Kings, and that's cool. We're building the characters, we're getting their backstories, it's really good. I mean, Kaladin's arc specifically, phenomenal, but I loved seeing Kaladin interacting with Dalinar, Adeline interacting with Kaladin, Shallan interacting with Adeline, Shallan interacting with Kaladin. Like, it was all this like blending together. I really enjoyed that, and so that's what, for me, that's what put Words of Radiance above the Way of Kings. Just a little side note, Renarin, I probably said that name very wrong. Adeline's little brother, when he wanted to go like work with Bridge 4, I was like, oh, that's such a like a fun little character moment, just to show like how, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense given like what we know about Dalinar's character, that like his sons would be have some good character. And so I really enjoyed that. But for me, the character that kind of stood above everyone else was Adeline. I found his story to be really interesting. I thought that that final moment with Sadius is like, how did he phrase it exactly? He was like, my father thinks I'm one of the best men out there. Too bad for you, I'm not. Like, I probably just butchered that quote, but it was chilling, so chilling. And I love the fact that he was just like stomping all those people in the duels with the nobles. I mean, he was just like brutalizing them. But his best, for me personally, because he's so arrogant, so like, I mean, not necessarily the best person all the time, so arrogant. But I just found it interesting. He's not like the favorite person that like, oh, I like how he acts. It's just I found him to be compelling. But when we find out that he wanted to be locked up as long as Kaladin was locked up, I was like, I did not see that coming, and I thought that was a really big character moment. We saw so many big character moments in this story. That's what I felt. I felt like this was just a parade of just really cool character moments. And also, Sazeth and Kaladin, their duel in the sky, wow. I don't know how likely it is that Stormlight Archive gets adapted, but there are some pretty cool scenes that I think would be really fun to watch play out. And then overall with Kaladin, I think that I'll kind of go back to what I was saying about there are these tropes that we've seen done before, but they're happening in a really satisfying way. Because with Kaladin, I mean, we know that eventually, by the end of the story, he's gonna like Light Eyes. Like we know that it's coming. He's gonna trust them, or maybe he just won't look at them as like this monolith that he does now. Because right now it's like, oh, like if one Light Eye does something bad to me, oh, I hate all Light Eyes. If one does something good to me, I love all Light Eyes. Like, he's just very back and forth. So maybe that's what it'll be. He'll start to look at them with a more nuanced way. But regardless, we know that there's going to be a change in the way that he views Light Eyes. But it's satisfying. It's seeing this like kind of this progression go through. I find it to be really enjoyable, and the way that you see Kaladin dealing with, I mean, what could only be described as depression this entire story. I felt like it was just I appreciated Brandon Sanderson for putting that in the story, making that part of Kaladin, but like I said, not really defining Kaladin. I really enjoyed that. Overall, I thought the Words of Radiance was fantastic. If you guys disagreed with anything I said in this review, please leave a comment down below. But if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.